What's up? What's up, guys? Let me get Nightbot up and running. So it's a little chilly here in Virginia this morning. .39 degrees, fog, misty, and breezy. Let's refresh and see what it says. 25 degrees, minus 4 degrees Celsius, wind chill 16 degrees Fahrenheit. Uh, Let me see. Check the news. An Iowa Alzheimer's care facility is fined $10,000 after pronouncing a living woman dead. 110 below. Uh, mm, Okie dokie do. So, hey, Miguel, how cold is it in Texas? Because it's cold here in Virginia today. Hi, Miss Regina, and practical ideas and tips. Yeah, I got hot chocolate. I got my knitting project. Let me show you guys. This is okay. This is the where it started, and this is where I'm at now. And this color is a darker red, and watch thing is a darker red. Like, that's it right there. But yeah, it's cold this morning. I'll be right back. Hey, it's 25. Love you, girl. All right, I'm back. So I hope everybody. Let me get to my comments again. Let me see 'em. Hope everybody's doing well. And I'll hang out with y'all for a little while this morning before I go and play my game. So got the crazy grandbaby up here. You hear her making all that noise. Hey, Camper 14. She hollering at the cats. Well, it's sunny, but it's cold as I don't know what. This morning. Um, the high today is supposed to get up to 36. That's our high today. Yeah. Type in purple to share your links out for your YouTube channels. This is my book that I keep my Pink Palace people in. So yeah, they just fussing with each other. Fussing, fussing. Stop saying stuff like that to that girl. he started it. Now he got to deal with it. Ah, so you might have some more babies soon. So are you going to keep that baby rooster silky you got, or are you trying to rehome it? Ah, instead of fussing. I don't know. I don't get it. It was nice and quiet when I got up and decided to come in here and stream for a little bit. And now you got World War III going on in the bedroom between a 53-year-old and a 4-year-old. Well, she's not 4 yet, a 3-year-old. She'll be 4 in May. Hey, Steve. Type in the word purple to share out your channel. Luna versus Grandpa. Yep. Yep. Luna versus Grandpa. I need to hurry up and finish this scarf. It's taking up too much of my time for other things I want to work on. But I only got this much left. So that's what's left. Hey, Sunita. Hi, Beth. Do 3 more rows, Sunita. 3 more rows. Then you can take a nap for an hour. I am making a scarf using the Stephanie Pearl McPhee's pattern called the One Row Hand Spun Scarf. And this is some hand spun yarn. This is what's left that I spun. and the fiber was from the Echo View Fiber Mill down in North Carolina. They are no longer, well, they had shut down. I don't know if they restructuring or what, but it's these are the colors so far. So basically, they took this gray brown blend and they over dyed it, the fiber, and made it into this nice fade in, fade out colorway. And it was part of the, let me see, Spinzilla 2016. It's a three ply, approximately 286 yards. So and it was from a mystery box that they had. And like from showing you guys the fiber and talking about it, you can see all these little white flecks. Those are like little nylon or wool particles, like little bits and pieces that was blown into the fiber before they turn it into roving. And 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 the fiber reminds me of it's very spongy. So it reminds me of, what is the name of that sheep? Oh, I hadn't said it, it will pop into my mind. It'll come to me eventually. But it's a very spongy feeling yarn. I think it starts with a C, but the name just is not popping up into my head. I don't feel like grabbing one of my books. So a Targi, and then there's another one. Hold on. It kind of reminds me of Targi and Columbia. Columbia is the one that I'm betting on. It more than likely that's what it is. Or it could be Targi, but that's what it feels like, either Targi or a Columbia sheep. It's just so spongy, and it has like this springy, stretchy bounce to it. So that's why I would be more on the side of a Columbia than, but Targi is similar to me. It is anyway. Feels similar. But the main thing that I'm liking about this is it's showing me when this part that I'm working on is going to the earliest of the spin, the first part of the spin. So this was what I spun first. This here, because I did a 3-ply chain ply / Navajo ply, so that the colors would stay together. And but the spinning was pretty darn consistent, as you can see. The only place I had was at the end of the spin, where my gauge changed to slightly thicker singles. So I don't know if I was just trying to speed up and get through with the spin, or if the fiber, sometimes the fibers, they change the way they take the twist. It all depends on how that fiber was prepped. That end of the fiber could have been more of a felty type feeling to it, so it would tend to probably come out more in larger clumps. And so yeah, so that part of the spin, as you can see, is different from the rest of the spin. The rest of the spin was pretty even. So Yeah. It is. I love my friends. She had what they call a mini mill, but to me, it was just a regular fiber mill too. They don't have some of that giant equipment like you see in some of those older mills. It's more the modern equipment. But I love the process of you come in and you have the agitators or washing machines. They're not like real washing machines. They're special washing machines where they basically just soak, and then they gently spin out and drain the water out. And then if they're not clean enough, then they go into another soak cycle. And then once they're clean enough, they go onto these drying racks and they have these fans, and the fans would be blowing up and on the sides of the fiber, gently blowing and air drying the fibers. And then once they were dry, they would take them over to the picker, and then the picker basically pulled apart the fleece, and then there's this blower that will blow the pulled apart fibers into this room. And the room was like this rough uh plywood, and there's another fan that kind of blew it up, and so it was sticking onto the walls like cotton candy, like spun cotton candy. And then after they were finished blowing the fleece in there, they had these rakes, and they would just go there and rake it down, rake the fiber down, and put it into these barrels. And then they would take the barrel over to this huge cart, and then the carding machine, they would spread it out, and the carding machine would basically card the fiber, which means it's pulling that fiber apart, separating that fiber out, and it's making this big bat of the fiber. Now, carded fiber is not as aligned as through the first pass anyway. It's not as aligned as a pen drafted fiber or a roving. Um, it is very, the fibers are crossing, they're crossing each other. It's like it's just, that's just how it is. The fibers aren't aligned at all. They're just going through there how they're going through there, and they're just basically being organized just a little bit to form a bat. And then you could take that bat and pull that bat apart and run it back through the carder, and then the fibers could be more aligned. Or you take that bat and you attenuate that bat out into what's called a sliver. And then you take that sliver and you take the sliver over to a pen drafting machine. And what the pen drafter does is it uses these little pins, and it pulls and stretch, pull and stretch. And it's basically lining your fibers up so that they're all going the same direction. They're in a nice little line. And so that's what you do with a pen drafter. A pen drafter can also be used to put more than one sliver together to create comb top. So the pen drafter is basically combing that fiber, straightening it out, combing it, straightening it out. And then you can also use it to combine more than one sliver into what's a comb top. And then the top is what's run over the spinning frame. For most spins, for some of the larger mills, they use the top over the spinning frames. For a smaller mill, they might they might only use one or two slivers to run over the spinning frame so they can get a finer yarn. And then they apply these yarns into this nice. And they apply the yarns into this nice yarns like this. Like this is yarn from my friend's fiber mill that from the start to the beginning process I just described. And then it was plied into this sport weight 3-ply yarn. And the small fiber mills, they play around with the fiber. They have fun. And sometimes they do like dye jobs. Like I'll show y'all the pumpkin spice latte that we did one night when we were out there hanging out at the festival. This is my last skein of that fiber, and we called it pumpkin spice latte. It's some orange merino, some brown merino wool, and I spun it on one of my electric spinners, so I had to spin it at a high speed so I could get a thicker yarn. But this was the pumpkin spice latte, and it was so much fun spinning this because we had some neps in there too. Like we had some of we pull some of the orange fiber loose, and then we would just throw a little bit of it onto the carder as it was going through the carder, so we could get some areas that had like just the pure color of the fiber. I don't know if y'all can see that, if it's gonna focus on it or not. There, you can see some areas that are like brighter orange. That's where we threw little bits and pieces of the pure fiber onto the drum carder. But I really enjoyed it. And then there was days when she would have some stuff she spun just to see how it would spin, and then we would she would dye it, or we would dye it. And so this is some long wool that she had. If somebody that didn't reclaim the fleece, and they didn't pay her, and so she just went ahead and processed it, and then she took and she played around with some dye, and so she dyed it, so it's like these orangey colors, and then she gave a bunch of stuff. Like I said, almost all of this yarn over here is gifts from her, from the fiber mill, from Jana. And I only bought some of it. I bought like this yellow. There's a bright yellow back there that I purchased, but most of it she gifted to me. So I've been blessed a lot with people giving me yarn, and I try to make stuff to donate with some of that yarn, especially the acrylics. But so yeah. No, Sunita, no, you're not allowed to stop. You're not allowed to go to Michael's. You're not allowed to go to Joann's. You're supposed to be shopping your stash. So that means you need to get your little fake shopping basket out and look through your stash and find the yarn you need for your next project, ma'am. Nope. The best way to maintain that is not to go in there. But then people say, well, what if they're having a real good sale and da 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 da? Do you have room for that real good sale? That's what you have to think about. Do you have room for it? I know I don't have room for it. So I try to limit when I go to the yarn store. I still got 40 some dollars left on my gift card from my daughter. So I got one more trip to make to Michael's or something. And I'm more leaning towards getting art supplies over getting yarn. So, because I love color pencils and I doodle. I don't know if y'all know that, but I doodle. So I might look into getting some more watercolor paper, something like that. And I think it's funny how all those cheap crochet hooks that we used to get off of Amazon and then off of AliExpress and eBay, how all these companies now are getting those cheap crochet hooks that we've been buying for years, and they're branding them with their names and stuff, and selling them to people for 3 or 4 times more than what we've been paying for them. Like we could get the whole set for like $9 and $10. And so now they're getting them and branding them. Them same ones that we got off of Amazon a couple years ago, Hobby Lobby had, and they were costing like $3 to $4 each. You borrowed a spinning wheel and made party yarn. Or you mean art yarn. That's what they call it. It's not party yarn, it's art yarn. It's an artistic endeavor. There are electric wheels, Beth. Um, what is it called? What's hold on. I have a nano. Mine is the one I have is a nano. But he makes some that are bigger as well. And they're very affordable. So you might want to look into. Oh, I left the thing up. Hold on. I left Discord up. Let me close that down because Some of the people I game with, they'll come up here. They have very colorful vocabulary. So let me shut that down. I think it used to, when I got mine, I think I only paid like $115 for it. And I take it with me when I go to like New York and places like that because I don't want to risk my goodwill anymore driving. Even though mine is considered a travel wheel because it folds down and doesn't take up a lot of space, I still don't want to risk my wheel getting damaged by luggage or something like that. That little Nano, where is the box? Where is it at anyway? Where did I put it? It's in a box. It's in a little box, little square box. I think it's up there, about this big. And that little box can sit in the bottom of my craft bag, and I can take it with me when I go to fiber festivals, and I can sit and spin. I can take it with me when I go to knitting meetups and stuff if I want to spin. And it's very affordable. I used to be an electronic technician, so if the motor goes out on it, it's easy for me to solder a new motor in myself. I don't have to send anything back to the company or wait for them to send me anything. I just take the motor and figure out, a similar motor, and just that's what I did anyway. And I put a better motor on it myself. It's called a Nano, Nano. Let me see if I can dreaming. Is it called Dreaming Robots? I'm trying to remember. Nanos spinning wheel. Yes, Dreaming Robots. And the Nano 2 is $125. He has counters. He has all kinds of stuff. Let me get a link for you, and I'll drop it real quick. There's the link to his website. You can just copy the Dreaming Robots arrow curve here. Nightbot might have killed that link. Hold on. Let me just put the other part to it. There we go. There. So that's the link right there. And but it's very affordable. And like his larger spinning wheel, I think it's like $200. When you think about how much a traditional wheel costs, I think like minimum you might be paying $300 or $400 for some of the beginning student spinning wheels, or more than that now. Whereas you could get his Nano wheel to see if you like spinning. It'll hold its resale value. And if you don't like using the spinning wheel, or using a spinning wheel period, then you can take and you can sell that off to somebody else, and they'll pretty much pay you what you paid for it. So that's the why. If I was gonna try it, if you didn't make your own drop spindle to practice on and learn from, then I would go with a Nano, because it's affordable and he stands by his work. And if you have a problem with his machine, you just email him and let him know what's going on, and he's either going to replace that wheel, or he's going to send you the part you need, if you're handy like that, you know what I'm saying, to fix it. So, but yeah, it is up there, and it's under my Prismacolors. It's all. I'm not going to go over there dragging all that stuff down. But you can also look at Spring, the Fiber Enthusiast. She does a real good. Let me find that link for you. She just got the Nano 2, and so she just did a what do they call it? A demo. She did a demo with the Nano 2. I'm trying to find the video. It should be near these beginning ones. Let me see if she got a playlist for it. Nope. I don't know why I'm having trouble. I mean, she just did a video like a week ago. She got a lot of videos up here. Hold on. But I'll just give you the link to Springs channel because she got a lot of stuff that she does that you might like that anyway. And so that's the link to Springs channel. And Spring has a couple of videos that she did with her Nano and the Nano 2. Maybe I could search. Where's the little search box they used to have when you went to somebody's channel? You could search the videos. You can't do that no more. Well, now here it is, Nano 2. Okay. All right, got it. Okay, here's the link to the actual video for the Nano 2. So, and she goes through how she takes you how you put it together. She goes through the how it comes packaged in the box, the difference between the Nano 2 and the original Nano. So she's very honest about everything that has to do with the spinning wheels. You know, she's not trying to. I can't think this morning, but she's not trying to pull an okey doke on you. I have a Nano as well, and like I said, I've already replaced the motor with the more powerful motor myself. So you know, she's very honest about the problems she's had and how she had workarounds and the customer service from the company if you have a problem. I'm one of those people that want to fix it myself before I go and back to the owner or whatever and try to get them to fix it, unless it's something I can't fix. Let's say there was a crack in the plastic or something that I can't repair. So then yes, I will go to the company. Furls needs to come out with a hook that has a thumb rest. Once they come out with a hook that has the thumb rest, I'll buy another furls. Until then, for me to be able to crochet quickly, I need that thumb rest because it stops me from twisting and spinning because of how fast I crochet. It keeps me from twisting or spinning that hook. Even the partial thumb rest that I made on my furls hook that I bought to try, it's still not flat enough. I need to do it on both sides so that it feels more like a Susan Bates. So that I'm not moving it, I'm not spinning it. It's still too round on the other side. And that's the other thing. I don't want to be dealing with a hook because I got big hands and my hands are strong. I don't want to be dealing with a hook that I can snap. And that's what I'm afraid of. I sit there like gingerly holding the hook to try to make sure I'm not putting too much pressure on that hook when I use it. Because I snap knitting needles when Knit Picks had those Zypher knit needles, the plastic ones that had a little bit of bend in them. Supposedly they're supposed to be unbreakable. I broke several of them. The ones and the twos. So I broke them and I sent them back in, and they sent me replacements. And after a couple of times doing that, I was like, no, these are not unbreakable for me, because if you got strong hands, they're gonna start bending. And then once they get bent too many times, they're just gonna snap. So they stopped making the Zyphers about 3 or 4 years ago. They stopped making the Zyphers. So basically, what I had a whole set. I had bought the whole set because I was like, wow, this would be perfect for me. I won't be breaking them because I've broken the wooden needles. When I'm knitting socks and stuff, the ones and the two wooden needles. So then I moved on to the metal needles. Then they were bowing from how I hold the needles and stuff. So yeah. So I'm like, I'm not gonna invest any more of my money into those needles because every time I turn around, somebody is talking about those needles snapping and breaking, dropping them and they're breaking. It's just like those glass knit needles that they had put out that people bought. Like if you're gonna buy glass knit needles, those are more for pictures and displays and stuff like that. Why would you take them with you to a yarn meetup with a hard concrete floor beneath you? Because we always drop our needles and hooks, or the work or drop something falls. Something is always falling. And why would you take a glass knitting needle with you somewhere where it might possibly fall, and shatter. I mean, that's just common sense. So yeah, I would use those more as photo props than for actual doing work with them. If I purchased glass knitting needles. This is how I crochet. It don't matter how I crochet like this. This is how I crochet. And that's how I get all my speed, because I have complete control over that hook. So I'm able to go as fast as I can go because of how I crochet. If I held it like a pencil, like this is how I hold my pencil. So let me see. This is how I hold my pencil. I don't hold my pencil like most people hold their pencils. So that would be very uncomfortable for me trying to hold it like I hold a pencil. Most people hold their pencils like this, but I don't. I hold mine like this. That's how I learned how to write, because if you look at my fingers, you see how far my thumb is from my index finger. So that's why I have a modified way that I hold a pencil to write with, because of how long my fingers are. And my pinky finger is crooked. That's a family trait right there. That's hereditary. And my other cousins, they actually get the sixth finger, and they're removed when they're babies, unless the bone is actually, attached. Most of theirs is that free floating sixth finger, and they get it removed when they're babies. It's like yeah. But if it's actually attached to the bone of the pinky finger, then the doctor doesn't remove it. They will have to actually have a surgery to actually go in and remove it that way. No, Sunita, I'm not gonna spend no more money on furls until they come out with a furls hook with a, what I'm trying to say. I told you, my mind been on thumb rest. Not until they come out with one with a thumb rest. Let me see. I need to start. I do got something I can use. Point the camera down. Close your eyes so y'all won't get dizzy. Okay. My hands are cold, so I'm not crocheting fast this morning, nor knitting fast this morning. All right, so that's how I crochet when I start the chain. I slide my thumb along the the thumb rest. I'll slide it up along here between here and the throat to guide and whatnot. And then once I get this started, then I can go to town. With the furls hook, it rolls because it's just perfectly round, and so it rolls, and so my hook neck is constantly rolling, so the yarn is popping out. I don't have that control I need to go fast. That is my problem with the furls hook, because it's so round. I can't keep control of that. Of that neck the way I need to build up my speed. And with the thumb rest, I can slide my thumb where I need to keep my speed up. It fell down. With the furls, I would have had to stop 2 or 3 times now to readjust to get the yarn, put the yarn back on. Now I'm only stopping to actually just pull up my yarn because I'm using it so fast. That's why I wear finger cuffs to keep from burning up my finger. I showed y'all that scar on my finger from one time when I was speed crocheting, and that yarn was a red heart yarn. It was kind of rough and it tore my finger up. I couldn't crochet for like a week while it healed up because it basically was like a rug burn. And now I have a little white scar going across my finger. Y'all can see that scar. That's from the burn. So I have a scar going across my finger now. So that's when I learned of the power of the finger cuff. They protect me now from the yarn. The yarn can't hurt me no more. So I have several of these, and I go on to Etsy a couple of times a year and I buy a new one just so I can add it to my arsenal. Michelle, you have to type the word purple. You have to type the word purple. So yeah, so that is why. So they just need to design a hook. If they design a hook, a metal hook, I don't like those fiber, whatever they are, poured hooks, resin hooks. I don't like them because they do break. And you always dropping your crochet hook. That's because why we're always looking for our crochet hooks, because we drop them all the time. So I don't even want to buy another one of those resin ones. I would prefer a metal one, but I want a metal one that has the thumb rest. And then I buy it. No problems. No questions asked. I will buy it and try it. And if it performs well, I can grip it well, it's not slowing me down, then they will have, like Susan Bates has had me from day one. From the first time I used a Susan Bates hook, that was it. I was done. I have never purchased. I bought one clover, that soft clover, when they first came out, to try it. And because they were so freaking short, they kept digging into my hand. They had to go. I only bought one, and I sent that off to somebody in a package that they won. They had won something or something, and I sent it off to them because I'm like, this is a good opportunity to get that thing out of my stash. So yep. So they got them some free hooks that I didn't like. Some boys, some furls, not some furls, some clover, and some wooden hooks too. You know, people give you stuff. Oh, here, I found this in my grandma's and blah, 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 and this, that. People are always giving other crafting stuff. Oh, you crochet. I found these in my aunt's house after she passed. Oh, you crochet. I found this yarn. Oh, you crochet, blah, blah, blah. So we always end up with stuff from other people. So we can pass it along. We don't have to keep it. And I let people know I don't use that type of hook, but when I teach people, or when I find someone who likes that type of hook, do you mind if I pass it on to them? Most people don't care. They just don't want to throw it away because that they've seen that person using those items for forever. And so those items have meaning to them, have meaning to the person that was using them. And so they want them to be passed on to somebody else who can use them in memory of that person. So that's another thing. You don't have to hold on to stuff. You could send stuff on to someone else to use. And so yeah, so if you're teaching someone, you got hooks you don't like, let your students take them home with them. They might actually like using them. And then you tell the student, if you don't like using these hooks, when you teach, pay it forward. When you teach someone how to crochet or how to knit, you give it to them, and you tell them the same thing I'm telling you. If you don't like it, if you find a needle or a hook that you like better, give it to someone you teach, and then it'll just be passed on, or it would be that somebody might love that hook. They might love boy. They might love the old boy hooks. They might just say, well, I love this. I can use it for when I'm making amigurumis and stuff, because that's the good thing about the boy hooks is that point on the end of that hook when you're making amigurumis and stuff. I think even I have a size, some of the smaller boy hooks from when I do some of the amigurumis and stuff, because that point you can just get down into that stitch with it. And I use them sometimes when I'm picking up stitches. If I'm doing some kind of shawl or something that has lace weight yarn, or it's a very fine yarn, then I'll use that boy hook to pick up that stitch it's easier for me with the boy hooks because of the point than with the Susan Bates. I mean, there's a reason for everything that you can have one or two, keep it in your collection because they have purposes, specific purposes. They are tools. So think of it like that. It's just like if you go out into your garage. I got my tiller, the lawnmowers, the weed eaters, all my hose, I have 4 or 5 different types of hose. Your grubbing hoe, your weeding hoe, your sucker hoe. You got all these different types of hose. Like I even got little short handle ones when I want to get down on my knees and stuff when I'm setting out plants and stuff. So you have tools for a reason, and tools are specialized for a reason. Just like our crochet hooks and stuff. They're specialized for a reason. So I prefer Susan Bates. That's just me. But I will try other things. Like that hook from Hobby Lobby, the one with all the colors on it. I like the way it feels. But I don't like that short. You can it's just like those Addy hooks that came out a couple years ago. They're short. We don't do no pink waving around here, Elaine. Am I gonna have to put you on mute? We don't do no waving like this, Elaine. We wave like this. Look, I'm gonna have to give her some demerits for the pink palace people. Let me find Elaine's name. She gonna have to get a demerit. Oh, Elaine, you ain't on my list. Well, you just showed your true colors. Let's get you up here. Elaine, passion for yarn. All right, you're on the Pink Palace prayer list. Uh, no, a sickle hoe. It's a Japanese hoe. It's almost like a sickle shape. It's for getting down close to the plant. You turn the blade the opposite direction from the stem of the plant, and you cut the weed away that way. That way you don't have to worry. It's very sharp, so you can cut the weed away, but you're not gonna cut your plant because it's bladed. It's the opposite direction. You go the opposite direction of the stem of your plant to cut the weed away from the plant. Yeah, yeah. Beth is from the Dee Dee Willingham following. That's our mixed media queen that we follow. Been following for more than 10 years. And Beth likes to do felting projects with felt things, needle felting. She likes to needle felt. Oh, my heater went off. Hold on. I know we're getting chillier in here. If you're going to buy a house, do not buy a house that's over 100 years old. Because they didn't insulate back then the way we insulate now. Like when they tore the walls apart after our house fire, the insulation was basically like horsehair and stuff like that. When they pulled it all out, it looked disgusting. But that's what they used for insulation back then. They used wool, sawdust, and horsehair. It was like this. I guess when they put it in there, it was like a putty or something. It was stuck up on the walls, and then it dries out in there. But it was gross. And so the downstairs walls, where they tore it out after the fire, have actual insulation in, like um modern insulation now. But the upstairs walls didn't have to get torn into, so it's still the same old, same old. So if we had like $80,000, because that's probably what it would cost us, basically almost like buying half of a house, a third of a house, we would have to have this house torn down to the studs and rebuilt with modern insulation and everything. So if anyone's a multimillionaire and they want to help me rebuild my house or help me build up my channel so I can rebuild my house, just raise your hand. So if we ever sold this house, it's in a historic Berkeley, and it will be sold as is where it is, because I'm not spending $80,000 to tear this house down to the studs unless I become rich. I'll be in debt for the rest of my life if I did that. Not trying to go there. However, because of the age of these houses and the historic stuff with the houses and stuff, you will find companies that buy these houses and they won't do anything to the outside, but they will tear it down to the studs on the inside and redo it. And the people who buy it will never know, but it will be warmer and stuff. I wish the person who we bought our house from had done that. Oh Lord, they starting to fight again. I tell you, that little girl and her grandpa always fussing and arguing. What is he gonna do with himself when they find their own house and move out? They're supposed to start house hunting in February. Miss Maribel, what you doing? Ignore the 53-year-old and the 3-year-old that's arguing with each other in the background back there. Just ignore them. I do. She gonna get mad with him, and y'all gonna hear her holler, "You're a bad grandpa." And then she gonna come running in here to me, Grandpa is bad. And I'll be like, "Well, what did Grandpa do?" And it's always, he wouldn't give me candy, or he wouldn't do this, or he wouldn't do that. She thinks she's supposed to run this household, apparently. Hexy, Cardi, and laundry. I'm still working on that scarf using that hand spun. I got this much left now. So this is where I am in the color changes. The twilight blue to the gray brown and jean blue down to that rust red. So yeah. This is I gotta make me some headbands. I really need to get my hair dyed. It's driving me nuts. And next week is my last week 100% working from home. On the 13th, we have to start going back into the office, back to the plantation 3 days a week. So I'll be going Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to go ahead and get it over with. And so I'll only be seeing you guys during the day when I listen in. on Thursday, Friday. Yep. See how this disrespectful gray hair on this side is growing faster than the gray hair on this side. So I need to get my hair retwisted and I need to make an appointment so I can get it done. Not this weekend, but next weekend before I go back into the office. I just don't get it. I mean, I know it's just like a plantation mentality thing where, or maybe cutting into some kind of funding they might get from the government or something because you need a certain amount of people in the offices and stuff. And which is wrong. Businesses shouldn't, like, all these businesses got paid out, they got saved by the government, billions of American taxpayers' dollars. And a lot of that money went into the pockets of a few people, the CEOs and the big wigs and the board members and stuff like that, because the companies weren't failing. And so they just weren't going to make their big earnings they usually make. So the government will bail them out. But when the government tries to do something for the American people, like with the student loans and stuff, or they don't want that to happen. They don't want you to have the ability to have some extra money in your pocket. So they say helping the American people. But they had no problems giving billions of dollars to foreign interests and billions of dollars to people who are already rich. But they won't help get rid of some student loans for people so they don't have that debt hanging over them so they can use their money to survive. That's the stuff that makes no sense to me. Like, you give billions of dollars to these people who are already rich, these CEOs of these companies and stuff. They misuse that money and made themselves richer, made their companies richer. But the average American person is suffering. A lot of them lost their jobs because the small mom and pop businesses and stuff like that, they couldn't survive during COVID because a lot of those loans went to rich people instead of the people they were supposed to help. So these mom and pop places had to close down during COVID. All the employees were unemployed, but yet you're not letting any programs go through that'll help us for the taxpayers' money that we put into the pot to begin with. These rich people have all these tax shelters. They're not putting the money into the pot. The companies aren't putting the money into the pot. It's the average, everyday, hardworking human being putting the money into the tax pot. And then they're misabusing it, and they won't even use it to help us properly. That's what I'm on one of my rants. That's what gets me. But I can also look at it like this. My husband works for the Census Bureau. So the Census Bureau, they do more than just the American census. They do all types of surveys for the American people to find out how government money is being used in your area. Are you using that government money? Did you even know that program existed? And so when you refuse to do those census calls and stuff like that, your area doesn't get money because apparently you all good. You don't need the money. So then the people who do the census, they're saying, well, no, our 4-H club doesn't have the funding it needs. Our YMCA doesn't have the equipment it needs to help us. Like, there's these other things we want to do with the YMCA that we can't do it at ours because we don't have the equipment. We don't have the rehab equipment. Some of the people who have strokes and stuff can't use the local Y. They have to go to a Y across town, or they have to go and pay for a physical therapist when they could have did this rehabbing with a trainer at the Y. So if you don't fill out these surveys, you don't get the help and the government funding that's out there for these programs in your neighborhood, in your area. And the money goes to the people who do fill out the surveys, who do ask for help, who do use the programs, and who actually appreciate the programs. And most of the people that my husband is seeing that don't want to do the surveys, think the government trying to get in their business too much, this, that, and the other, are in the African American communities, in the brown communities. They don't trust the government, so they don't even want to talk to the census people. But then when they don't have these programs and stuff, they blame the government. It's a two-way street. You got to take responsibility for your actions, just like the government need to take responsibilities for theirs. So if you got stuff that's going on if you got programs in your city that's underfunded, you can actually try to go onto the census site and see if there's any surveys that you can, find in your area to help your area. That's just my 2 cents on that. So, Nita, how long have you been up? If she starts getting the twitching and shakes and stuff like that, she have no choice but to go into the yarn store, because her addiction is a habit. Her yarn addiction has become a habit. We don't want her going through withdrawal. So you gotta do you, Sunita. You gotta do you. Oh, 5:30. Dang. That's like my normal wake up time. Thank you, United States Navy, for that. Making me wake up every day at 5:30 in the morning. I was like paranoid about being late. I'm like one of those, never want to get in trouble. I always want to be there on 15 minutes prior to my appointment time kind of people. And my husband is the exact opposite of me as far as that is concerned. It drives me nuts. Most of the time I get there right at, if he's driving, I get there right at the exact time of my appointment. So you got to run up there trying to, and there's usually a line, you trying to get signed in. I just don't get it. Why, husband, why? That's why I tell people he's gonna be late for his funeral. Something gonna happen. That day the car gonna break down. The hearse gonna break down. The wheel gonna fall off the gurney while they try to take him to the church. He gonna be late. Oh my goodness. But yeah. So Nita said, I have been killing it. I have not bought any yarn. But you did get hooks. Well, that's different. I mean, you could get accessories and implements and things like that. You shouldn't. I mean, I even like, if I'm on, like, say if I was gonna be on a yarn diet, I would go and buy like a magazine or a pattern book or something. Um, I'm still gonna get things that will help me with my stash, or new patterns or magazines that help inspire you. And that's one of the things I like about magazines is a lot of the knitting items, the patterns are timeless. Just some of the ones like the wonky stuff like that Stephen West stuff. That stuff is like, it's gonna, some of it I think is kind of faddish, because as you get older, your tastes tend to change. Me, I had never worn colors like that and never will wear crazy colors like that. I am a very dull person when it comes to clothing. I like my jeans, my t-shirts, my comfortable shoes, my Skechers, and jackets and coats and sweaters, and that's pretty much basic things. I don't need nothing fancy. I don't need to go nowhere to wear nothing fancy. I'd rather go on a date and get me and sit and enjoy my food and enjoy the conversation, rather than trying to sit there and eat something that is visually not appealing to me. I'm a country girl. So some of that stuff when we go places, like I love the Japanese stuff. Now, I'll tell you that I do love the Japanese, because it's like, and I like the Thai food, because to me, the Thai and the Vietnamese, they like brown people. They cook like brown people and they eat like brown people. Oh my good. I love Thai soups and stews. They are simple, but they are so tasty, especially when they have those fresh greens and vegetables that they put in it. So it's not overcooked. Love it. So, and so tasty and flavorful. I mean, the things they could do with a ribeye steak. Jesus Christ. It is so good. Yep, simple and flavorful. And healthier for you because they're not using a whole bunch of meat. You're not eating 2 or 3 ounces of steak or 6 ounce fat steak. You only getting maybe an ounce. Like if you look at the old cooking books, if you go to a thrift store, buy you an old cooking book from the 30s or 40s, if for nothing but to look at the different portion sizes, you would see that a steak they had like an ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce, 4 ounce, and on up. If you got something over 4 ounces, then you would consider rich. You see what I'm saying? If you weren't growing your own food and stuff, and meat was used more as a condiment for a lot of different people's dishes versus the main meal. So now we basically overeating meat, overeating this and overeating that. And I think, we'll be healthier. Like mostly my husband now, he makes a lot of stir fries. And we'll buy some chicken breasts, freeze most of them. He'll chop up 1 or 2 and put it in a stir fry and it feeds the whole family. And it's a fulfilling and tasty and meal. Ah, look, there was this place that used to be called Siam 21 here in Norfolk, over in Ghent. And me and my husband, we tried to recreate it a couple of times at home. It's still lacking something. I think they added some vanilla to it myself. But it was the steamed rice. And then they took the steamed rice and they added the egg, the egg rice, like you take and you do the fried egg in it, the fried rice. And then they added cashews that they had cooked. They took the cashews and they cooked it in the peanut oil and they added spices like some ginger. You could see like orange, grated orange or lemon, like some type of citrus you could see was grated in there with it. And then they put the onions in there, and then they just kept stir frying these things until the onions were caramelized. And then they took and they added that to the fried rice. And then they did the chicken, it wasn't like no big chunks of chicken. It was little sliced thin pieces of chicken. And then they stir fried that into the rest of like the oils and stuff from where they did the onions and the citrus stuff. And then they added that to it. Turmeric, yeah, that could be it. But it was so good with those cashews. And then if you wanted it hot, they had like they would put the green chilies. You could get it in there, or you could get it on the side. You could add what you wanted. But the little green Thai chilies, those things are so freaking hot. No, I didn't make this. One of my knitting friends, Jessica, she made this and she gave it to me at Maryland Sheep and Wool. But I found a pattern for it because I want to make some more because I wear this all the time. I love it because it keeps my hair off my neck and it keeps my neck warm. So that's the pattern. And it's a free pattern that I found. I have to find the link to it, but it's a free pattern. It's not exactly like this. Jessica actually designed stuff. So I don't know if she used the pattern or if this is something she came up with, but I found a pattern that's similar to this one. It is just the chevrons. It doesn't have the in between stuff. It doesn't have the detail that she put into it. And like she did like the I think it's the mock cable stitch. So it didn't have the mock cable stitch. It's like you got the mock cable stitch and you got 2 pearls and then it goes into this chevron stitch. And but she gave this to me when we went to Maryland Sheep and Wool. And it's wool, it's merino. And I love it. I love wearing this thing. And like I said, it keeps my hair off my neck. Because sometimes I feel like something's crawling on me and it will be my hair. So I need to make me some more of these, just like I need to make me some hair bands so that I can cover up my gray. me see, four. Okay. But yeah, this I didn't realize. I mean, you think about it, but you don't think about it. That this is almost 300 yards. So this is almost a whole skein. This is almost like a whole skein of a yarn. I didn't think about that when I started this particular pattern. If I had thought about it like that, I would have crocheted it instead of knitted. But I can still block this out, and it'll be even longer because it's so stretchy and springy. She did. She was pregnant too. She was pregnant when we went to Maryland shipping wool last year. So I don't know if they're gonna go this year because she had a baby. Um. So and it's in May. Maryland shipping wool is in May. And I haven't heard Ash talking about it yet, as far as us getting our deposits in for the Airbnb and stuff. So, but we had so much fun. It was three married couples, no kids, just three married couples. And we cooked. I cooked, and we just had a great. It was awesome. It's the first time that my husband has gone with me to one of my fiber festivals, so that was a lot of fun in itself. So those of you who have just come in, if you type the word purple, it will drop your link for your YouTube channel. And see, and this is why having a hook on your desk always comes in handy when you're knitting. Because just like that, the stitch drop. And so basically I have to take the stitch, pick up that loop, pull it back through over my stitch, put the stitch back on the needle so I can knit it again. So it's going to be a purl stitch. And the leg is twisted, so we got to fix that first. There we go. Now that's done. Um, I need to start using more of my hand spun. That was one of my goals. And so this is my first hand spun project of the year. Well, you're never too old to learn new skills, especially when it comes to crafting, because it's good for your brain. So knit as fast as you can, all the cool things you want to knit. But knit for you. That's the thing about it. Like, we're always making stuff for people in our families. We're always making stuff for, so we got to start knitting for us, doing something for us a couple of times a year, not just our friends and family. Do stuff for us so that we can benefit from our skills. Hey, Bronx girl. All right, I'm gonna put the link up. And there has to be a visual. Um, we've learned from other people's mistakes of just somebody drops down into the barn, not to open the gate to the pen, so to speak. Wait until you have a visual. But they are perverts on YouTube trying to get your channel banned. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing today? And Miguel went grocery shopping. I wonder what all he bought. Or was he going to go grocery shopping this morning? Type in the word purple to share out your channel. How bad have you been, Tank? What you working on right now, Tank? What you mean, huh? What you working on? What you doing? You been a good girl, been a bad girl. Hey, Miss Joy, how are you? What's your definition of good, Tank? Hey, hey, namesake. How are you doing today? Your Sophie Universe, a scarf, a cowl, a shawl, and a poncho. Girl, look at you being all industrious. Keeping them fingers in shape. I want to finish this today because I started my grandpa sweater used with the Hohi Locatelli knitting pattern. And so I want to finish this scarf so I can move on to my sweater full time. I'm still waiting for the buttons for Luna's jacket. Her mama hasn't finished the buttons yet. So I'm still waiting for those. Bronx girl's working on the blanket. How many grandchildren do you have? Oh, definition of good, not getting caught doing bad stuff. Ah, so you saying you're a good girl, but only because you haven't been caught. Okay, I see what you're putting down. Mm-hmm. 5 girls and ooh, you got 10 grands. Ooh, girl. Mm. But yeah, but how many kids do you have? How many kids do you have for those 10 grands? Three sons. I have 4 children. I have 3 girls and a boy. My son is my baby. And they're all in their over 20s, and the 2 oldest ones in their 30s. And I got 3 grandbabies. And if you ask me, 3 is plenty. Oh. Oh. What you gonna make, Joy? What pattern? Oh, so you got the opposite of me. Was your daughter the baby? Yep. I don't care what nobody say. Girls are easier than boys. I don't care what nobody say. No, I'm just joking. Girls are horrible. My son was so easy. Even now, he's still easy. So, nah. My daughters got into actual, my 2 oldest daughters were always bumping heads. Both of them are Tauruses, too. They always bumping heads. And they got into physical altercations. And the younger one, she's a year, 2 years younger than the older girl. She is only like 4'11", maybe 5 foot. If she is 5 foot, it's barely. And I think Pudding is like, she's taller than me, so I think Pudding is like 5'6" or 5'7". I want to say around 5'7". So Andronita, they got in a fight. They started arguing each other and shoving each other and bucking up at each other. And Andronita punched Pudding and broke her nose. I had to leave work, come home to get Pudding and take her to the hospital. And she had a broken nose. And she's had a post-nasal drip ever since her nose got broken. Yep. That's why they tell you to leave them little ones alone. Leave them little ones alone. Oh my goodness. But she's the oldest one, so she's always trying to boss everybody around. And it just, she took it too far that day. Trying to make people do stuff and all this other stuff. I'm like, look, you not the mama. They know what they supposed to be doing. And if they don't do it, and they get the right hand of fellowship on their hind parts. 42, 40, 36, and 34. Oh, you started earlier than me then. I think Puddin was 89. Yeah, Puddin 89. And Andronita is 92. Marissa is 97. And Junior is 99. And Junior's not a junior, but we call him Junior because he should have been a junior. But his dad don't like his name, so his dad refused. My husband refused to let him have his name. So I named him after my daddies. My natural daddy and my stepfather. They both are named John. And both of them Thomas. So his name is John Thomas. I think that's funny too, though. But my natural father, his name is John Thomas Merlin Patterson, but he got rid of the John at some point. So he's Thomas Merlin Patterson is his name. Yep. But I was pretty quiet in school and stuff. Like, but in social situations I'm quiet and I'm observing. With y'all is different because y'all online, so it's not like, it's not like if we were out in public, I would probably be just listening and nodding my head and not really interacting much until I get to know you. Yeah. But up here is different. And I use this as part of trying to help myself when I am my little introverted self is out in public to help me cope better when I'm out in public. Yeah. See, Ray's my twin. We got the same middle name. Well, I got a middle name. It might be her first name, but I'm Juanita Ray. So, yeah. Ah, so he let you get a junior. See, I kept messing with him, trying to get him to let me name our son after him. I kept telling him, well, I'm going to name this child Romeo Casanova if you don't let me name him after you. And so then he was like, well, if you get to name him, then I can determine whether or not he's going to be circumcised. So if you name him, he's going to get circumcised. In my family, a lot of males are not circumcised, and they have never had any problems whatsoever. You teach a man how to take care of himself and clean himself, and you never have an issue. It's just an aesthetic thing, and for the Jews, it's a religious thing, circumcision. So why should my child be inflicted with that if it's not his religion? You see what I'm saying? Or if the aesthetic. If I grew up around males that weren't circumcised, my little brother and all this other stuff, it doesn't bother me. And so I was gonna name him Romeo Casanova because I knew my son was gonna be so handsome. All the girls gonna be all over him. That's right. And so he was like, you're not naming our son. He said, so I'm gonna have him circumcised. I was But then I started thinking like your son is not gonna pass the playground test. They're gonna be bullying him and beating on him and messing with him all his life. He is going to be. I said, but that name is gonna make him famous. He gonna probably be famous. People with weird names end up being famous. He said, yeah, he might end up being a famous mass murderer because he ends up killing a bunch of people because they've been picking on him. So I thought about it. And I was like, there are a lot of people who kill people because someone was picking on their name. So no, so that's how he ended up being named John Thomas. And he ended up getting circumcised. So yeah. I was like, But the thing about it is the doctor that did his circumcision, it wasn't one of those, extreme ones. So he still has enough foreskin that he can kind of pull it over. Not all the way though. So it wasn't like some of those ones where you babies, you cry, the mama crying every time she changed the diaper because it's just so painful looking that she did that to her son. People don't realize how traumatic it is. It's a surgery. Basically, it's a surgery on their gland, on the head of their penis, and it is just. I was crying changing his diaper. You have to put Vaseline on the diaper so it won't stick to the surgical site. And there's like no stitches or nothing like that. It's just a wound that has to heal. And I cried and cried and cried and cried. Every time I changed my son's diaper, I cried because it was like, why? I could understand if a man, and there's no proof that a man can develop cancers because of not being circumcised. There's no proof to that. The purpose of that was to make it easy for a man to take care of himself. Because you got lazy men out there that will not pull the skin back and clean themselves, and then they end up with an infection, and then they end up having issues. It wasn't because of the cause of that person's hygiene. He don't watch my YouTube. That boy too busy learning different languages and playing video games. And even if he did watch it, he probably fall out laughing. So, yeah. And I think a lot more women are choosing not to put their sons, people who aren't Jewish, are choosing not to put their sons through that. And that when they become older, as they become an adult, if they decide they want to be circumcised, then they can go get circumcised. They got all these painkillers and stuff they can take. But they don't give that stuff to the baby. You know what I'm saying? The baby sits there and he'll give him some Tylenol. The Tylenol ain't gonna help that pain. Every time it pee and stuff, it burns. Elaine is in the house. I see her beautiful face. We're gonna add her to the stream. Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Why you sitting out in the cold, girl? You crazy.
Oh, hi everyone. Let me explain. Everybody's home. So this is a indoor back porch though. It's not that cold.
Oh, okay.
But I like put this on to just
It's kind of like a sunroom. It's closed in.
It's closed in. Yeah, there's a door right there and a window there.
Okay.
And then this is to go in the house, but that's another door in there, right there. So I'm inside the back porch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I said, let me just come up and support you a little bit.
But yeah, I'm liking that orange. See, my sister, orange is my sister's color. She likes orange and burnt oranges. I told y'all that. I buy burnt orange yarn. When they put it out, like the real nice ones, I always try to get some when I see it. So I have stuff on hand to make my little sister, because that's her color.
Oh, okay.
And when they had those burnt orange scions, when they came out, I wanted one so bad. I wanted one of those just for that color, but I didn't get it.
I like the burnt orange too. This set, actually, I made it for my youngest. That's her new favorite color now. It's this color orange. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't go out much, but I need to make me. Actually, I'm working on a blue set for me, but I'm using hers for now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I use it more than she does.
Does she see you wearing it?
Yeah, she don't care.
Oh, okay.
She don't care.
Some of them kids get kind of possessive of the stuff you make them. If you want to try to borrow it back or something, they be looking at you like you stealing money from them.
Yeah, she's 17 petite, but she likes oversized stuff like sweaters and shirt. So she's forever putting my stuff on.
Okay.
So it's the opposite. I'm the one on her saying, hey, that's mine.
Because Marissa, she's always taking her dad's stuff that I make him. Like, this is going to be his. But
I know, I like that's pretty.
But I know once Marissa sees it, it will somehow disappear into her room.
Yep. Yeah. She likes the set though. This is a V-stitch scarf. Mm-hmm. And it's about 70 inches long. And the hat is a bag a day tutorial hat. And I forget the name of it, but this is the one when she does a lot of those front post stitches. I don't know if you guys could see it.
Yeah.
I do have the light on here. The light is on here, but I had to turn the laptop a little bit so you can see there's a lot of sun this way and a lot of sun that way. And so it would be too much. I was like this way and see?
Yeah.
So
Wow. That's
it is
blinding.
cold. It is cold outside, but man, it was cold last night. I was freezing last night. I was telling my daughter, you need to talk to, you need to get the, well, our energy company is called Eversource here.
Mm-hmm.
And say, you need to get them to come in here because they do it for free, where they come to your house and they
They look
make
to
your
see where the
household.
leaks are and stuff. To tell you
Yeah.
where the air is escaping the house at.
Yes. And most of the time where I record or I do my live where I sit, I noticed yesterday because of the cold front we're having today. I didn't notice it before because it's the first time we're getting like really cold temperatures this winter. So, I was sitting there and I told my daughter, oh my gosh, I feel like the window was open. And so when I checked it, I guess whoever ordered these windows were off by like a quarter of an inch.
And
So
they
a
put
lot
them
of air is
on,
coming in through the side.
and so they did, and they didn't put. Normally, if it's the windows aren't too small, they're supposed to cut a piece of wood, to fill in that gap. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
reinforce that window opening, and then they put the window in properly. That's what they're supposed to do.
I'm sorry. I got up because there's this huge fly I'm trying to get rid of. And he's
Mm-hmm.
by the door and I'm trying to give him a chance to leave before I kill him. But
Ain't it crazy though? As cold as it is, even though you're in that little room, he should be dead.
I
But
know.
they're living. Those flies have like they're building up an immunity to cold. Mosquitoes. Cold. It's 25 degrees outside. Anything outside, summer type, spring type bug should be dead,
Right.
but they're not. They're surviving through the
Yeah.
winter. It's crazy.
Yeah. You know why? Because of the weather change.
Mm-hmm.
These weird
Yeah.
temperatures that we're having. Somehow they're adapting to it.
Because of the weather changes. They're adapting, and they're starting to actually tolerate the cold now. Tolerate it more than they used to.
Yeah.
So
We
guess
don't
what
want
they do
that. They're a
on those really
nuisance.
warm days? And if there's water on the ground, guess what they're doing?
Yeah.
Laying eggs. So when spring comes, we're gonna have so many freaking mosquitoes and gnats and biting gnats. It's gonna be
Oh
crazy.
gosh, that's gonna be bad for us who do gardening in the summer,
Yeah.
spring, summer. But he's huge. He's like this big. I don't know what he's eating.
It's a blowfly. That's why we
But
call them big ones, blowflies.
yeah, he needs to go outside before I kill him because he keep buzzing, and I don't like that.
He probably hatched in the trash or something outside and in a garbage can and came inside.
Yeah, I don't know how he got in here because we locked this screen, the porch door. We lock it, so he must have got in here somehow. Yeah. So I see that you're knitting. I'm still working on my knit top, knit sweater. Not much, not much. I think I did 10 extra more rows on that.
I was so glad when I finished my sweater, and I haven't worn it. Maybe I'll wear it my first day back at work.
Yeah, I want to get this done because I'm really excited, but also interested to see how it's gonna turn out. Since this is my first one, so I'm not expecting it to be perfect, but hey, it's just for me. Yeah. Hi, Joy. Soy la. Ray.
He don't want to go outside. Talking about your pet fly. If he's that big, he's a pet. Oh, they would die. It would be too cold for them. But I was gonna say, get you some the Venus flytraps and sit them out there, but it would be too cold for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do like that plant. I do get that plant. But then they have another one I want to order this summer. Well, spring. I want to order it by spring. There's another one. It's not called the Venus
It's the sundew. It's like the petal with all the
with a hole in the middle.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the pitcher plant. The one with the hole in the middle.
Yeah, and it's like purple color.
Yeah, that's a pitcher plant. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones in like North Carolina is one of the places where that they're native to sundews and pitcher plants and stuff. We used to see them outside the railroad track growing up, And then the railroad track people came through one year and they just destroyed that habitat. And
Oh,
I was mad. I was like, why would you do that? I mean, it
yeah.
wasn't bothering you. It wasn't like this. It was growing up to the rails and stuff. It was just like this little area. It was a little sandy, wet area along the railroad track line going down to this, we call them branches, but it's basically like a little fishing hole. It has like a little stream. It's not a fast moving stream or anything. It's just a little slow trickle, but there's a deep hole there and there's actually fish in there. We call them branches.
Okay.
And it was near the branch, and they came through and sprayed it with poison and stuff, and it killed all that stuff through there. And
I know
pretty
it's
soon it killed
terrible.
all the fish because it was stinking over there real bad.
Oh.
So the poison got down into the water and killed the fish there. And the little branch ran under the train trestle to the other side. And
Mm-hmm.
on the other side were these crayfish. And when we were little, we used to go down there and take twigs and poke them, make them, hold, and then we pull them up and then they drop it down to the water.
Oh
So
wow.
all those animals that's been there since before I was born, that my daddy and them would go down to these branches and fish for catfish, fish for the brim that was in this little branch. They would catch the crayfish, and they would, cook the crayfish. All those animals through there were wiped out.
Oh wow.
They basically end up growing over after that, and then that was the end of it. That whole little ecosystem was gone. Um, Sometimes there are students from Duke in North Carolina State. They do surveys of various muddy, boggy areas, and they
Mm-hmm.
they actually come down to our area where we are because there's several plants down there. There's a lily that grows. It's a real pretty little. It's tiny though. It's only about as tall as my thumb.
Oh wow.
So there's this little lily that's on an endangered species list that grows in our backyard area in the woods and stuff through there. They come down around the time they're supposed to be blooming because that's pretty much the only time you can really tell they're there. And they remove several to take to the labs to study the ecosystem there and to try to figure out a way to grow them in a controlled environment because they're on the endangered species list. But I'm just saying they don't think about stuff like that.
Yeah, they
There's
don't.
a skink which is similar to a salamander and a lizard. It's kind of like the in between the skink to the and so they have to remain moist. And it's in Virginia and it's in North Carolina. This particular skink, but they're very sensitive to environmental changes. So if they go to an area where they know these animals supposed to be and
Yeah.
they can't find one, they know something has changed in the area. Then you end up hearing about some company get some of these hog farms in North Carolina and Virginia and stuff getting these fines and stuff because their waste is ended up in the environment and their waste is killing these animals.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't care. I think I was watching a video the other day. You know, Leiden, what's his name?
Been like,
His brother had a mansion in Florida. So this guy went there and started because it's been abandoned, but he went in there and he started recording. Man, these people had money. It was by the water. It was a beautiful, so many beautiful plantations, so many beautiful trees. The house itself, because he didn't go in, but he kind of recorded from a window and a door. Um, you know, it was in great condition. Anyways, he left that property that when this happened, the September 11 terrorist
mm-hmm.
attack happened. So he left because he didn't want to get, in trouble neither, like people coming at him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, people somebody bought the property and now they're thinking that they want to destroy everything that's in there. Just
Why
take
would you
everything.
destroy that? Just because it was Bin Laden's brother's property doesn't mean he's Bin Laden. Doesn't mean he has his ideals and stuff.
Exactly. It doesn't
Why
mean
would you
that. He could have been a
destroy?
nice person.
Why would you destroy something to prove a point? You're not even proving a point. You're just being mean and evil. That's the thing I'm talking about. Evil begets evil. With the things these people are doing, it's evil begetting evil. When you're supposed to be, you claim to be religious, you claim to love God, you claim this and that and other, but the things you're doing is ungodly. It's
Right.
unchristian like. It's un-Muslim like. The things you're doing are not things that the Bible nor the Quran promotes, or other religious doctrines other than doctrines of Satanists, people who worship evil, who do evil. So that's my thing is people need to learn how to read and think for themselves and not always depend on what somebody is saying when it comes to your what's the word what's the word I'm looking for? It starts with an E. Your ethics. You're responsible for your ethics. You don't depend on other people to tell you what to do for your ethics. You're responsible for your ethics.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got up to leave the door crack because it seems like he's still in here. So maybe that'll give him a hand. Get out. Um. Yeah. If you're referring to, it, and you could stop me, but if you're referring to what Jesus said in the Bible is that when he said, like he said this 2,000 years ago, that there would be people saying that they're doing this in God's name, but it's
Mm-hmm.
evil. It's not really in God's name. It's actually the opposite because we're not
Opposite.
supposed to be
Yeah.
uh
Like my
you know
grandma, one of the things my grandma told me that always stuck with me when I left home to go into the military. She said, "Be careful who you associate with. Everybody don't love God. The devil."
exactly.
She said, "The devil is in the pulpit." So she
Yeah.
said, "You be careful with what the churches and stuff that people invite you to, try to get you to go to." She said, "You can read your Bible in your own private closet and worship the Lord in your own private closet and know that what you have read is true. You don't need somebody to tell you what's in the Bible. You can read it for yourself."
Mm-hmm.
And I always took that to heart. And that's why I say I have no problem saying I do not like organized religion, because it's not about the Bible. It's not about the people being good to each other, helping each other. That was what it was all about. Coming together as a like-minded community and doing good works in the name of God. Now it's all about business. The church is a 501, what is it called? A 501c, something like that.
Oh
The
yeah, where they don't pay
They don't pay tax.
taxes. They don't.
The
Yeah.
church is a business that owns businesses under their umbrella. You have churches that when the real estate markets crashed, they own apartment buildings and all this other stuff. Their people were losing their homes left and right because they had balloon mortgages, couldn't afford the houses no more. Do you think they rent it to their own church members who come in there every Wednesday for Bible study, Saturday for Bible study, Sunday for church, after church programs? They're spending all their money on dues and tithes and all this other stuff helping the church. But when they needed help from the church told them your credit isn't good enough to live in this building. That your dues and taxes and stuff from the church built. But you
Yeah.
can't get a home there. You're homeless, living in a homeless shelter, and that church still expects you to pay your dues and tithings. And that's why when I donate, that's my tithings. When I donate stuff that I spent my money on that yarn, I made that stuff with my time in my hands, and I give it to people. That's my tithing to the Lord. And I don't care what the church says. That's how I give back to my community. That's how I give back for my peace of mind and my heart and my soul. That is my tithing, by giving things to people to help people. You will not find me in a church ever again because of how I saw how they treated people when the real estate bubble burst. Their own people who've been going there for generations, you wouldn't rent an apartment to, even though they can afford the apartment, but they can't afford a mortgage no more. But you wouldn't rent an apartment to them because losing your house is one of the biggest hits on your credit there ever is.
Yeah. I get you. I understand. My sister's the same way. Me and her discussed about this one day, and she told me that she does pay her tithes, but her tithes she uses it to help people or donate it maybe to
Mhm.
like the children's St. Jude's
Yeah.
Hospital or shelters or whoever needs the help that she feels that's
Mhm.
another way of contributing for the Lord is with your tithes, with your tithes.
Mhm.
But
But
going
she's
back to
controlling. She's
the Latin's
controlling
brother.
that.
Hmm.
She's controlling who her money helps.
Right.
When you tithe to the church, they control where the money goes, and it might go to places where you wouldn't approve of, or you don't think it should go there. Some of them actually help politicians and stuff with that church, with that money that you tithe. When you
Right.
thought that money was going to go to help people rise up in different countries and improve their situation, instead it was sent to a politician and went into his campaign fund, or his back pocket.
Yeah, that's why, when you are, I haven't been a member to a church since the first church I went to when I was first reborn again Christian. And that was when I was 21 years old. I am 53, going on 54 this year. But I do fellowship with my brother and sister. I do believe that we are the body of Christ, and we're the body of Christ. So we do have to come in fellowship, and so I do. Also, because we're not supposed to do this walk by ourselves, it's hard, you know what I mean? And if you find the right brothers and sisters that will be there for you, they are not everybody's, not everybody. You're gonna have your bad apples and your good apples, because even the Lord says that don't look to the right, don't look to the left, just look straight ahead. So meaning, let's say you go to a church, and I'm not, I'm just saying this as an example. Let's say that not everybody's doing the same walk. Not everybody's walking the straight narrow path, Not everybody that says they're Christian. Okay. It's the Bible says that you would know them by their fruits. So if you see somebody, I heard somebody tell me this, oh, I don't go to the church anymore because they did me and my family wrong. Like if maybe there was some gossiping going on, or rumors or whatever, or maybe they're not gossiping about you, but maybe you see them gossiping about other people or whatever. Us as believers and Christians, we're not to look at that. That's their problem with the Lord. Let the Lord handle them. What you could do is you could pray for them, but that doesn't mean that's the pastor's fault, or that's the deacon's fault, or anybody's fault. That's them doing their walk. You know what I mean? You just keep focused on the Lord and focus on your path. And if you found a good, every church, and especially these days we're living, you're not going to find a perfect church. There's no way. I mean, I would not go to church where there's, and I don't know if I could say this in the channel, maybe I shouldn't say that, but where there's certain activities going on these days with children, I will not be there. Is there an echo?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So, I'm saying it by experience, because something happened to me in my earlier walk with Jesus and with the Lord. And I did the same thing. I left the church because when I needed the help and the lift, they were actually dragging me more lower, when I already had, I fell from the wagon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I let the enemy use certain person, and I fell off the wagon. But they didn't know that. See, this is why you got to be careful, because you don't know what people are doing behind doors, because this is what we do. We do our walk with the Lord behind doors when it comes to prayer, fasting, getting yourself right. You don't have to make an announcement to the world like, hey, I'm back. I did it, I did it this way. And no, that's between you and God. But again, that refers back to you would know them by their fruits. So what happened was they dragged me, and it was an embarrassment to me, because I knew everybody in that church, and my business was put in the pulpit when it's not supposed to be the pulpit for that, right? But I wasn't there. I was home. Long story short, my aunt called me, told me, and it broke my heart, because while they were talking about me, I'm at home, already have repented to the Lord in secret. And and then not so secret, because you do have to tell your pastor. Okay. So I told my pastor. So then I was home, and I was getting back in track with the Lord, and I was fasting and praying. By the time this all was said about me, I was already spiritually in the level that I should be, right? Let's just say. But they don't know that. They didn't know that my heart was changed, my mind was changed. I repented. Nobody is perfect. The thing about falling, you got to get back up on the wagon.
But the
Okay.
thing about it is, it's a journey. It's this
Right.
journey, and it's gonna last your lifetime. It ain't gonna
Right. And I
be,
pay that price.
yeah.
Yeah. I pay that price dearly. So what happened was I let my emotion, I was like devastated because these were people that I consider as my family, and I was crying. First of all, I was a single mom, and my daughter at the time was 2 years old. I had nobody really. And when this happened to me, I left because and I didn't leave before I spoke to the pastor because he allowed this to happen. They actually had a meeting before they decided that they were going to go on a Sunday morning after a Bible study to say all these things just because one of the deacon's daughter fell off the wagon, and because hers was going to be more visual than mine, she was expecting a child, and so they had to come and say it because her mother's a deacon and she was going to show and she's not married. What that got to do with me? You're not even supposed to put your daughter's business out like that. You know what I mean? She's supposed to do it repentance and whatever. And what if she did repentance and you're over here talking about your sister? But I left the church. I made that mistake. I left the church, and I left the church, and for 5 years I was just home, praying, doing, still serving God, but at home. And I left the church for 5 years. So then later on, I had learned that that wasn't the right move. You know what I mean? Because that's their business. I love the pastor dearly. Like my daughter loved him so much. She saw him like she went crazy with my pastor. She grew up with him because when I came to the church, she was 6 months old. So I took her away from that environment with, and also other sisters in there and that I was close to was not part of all that gossiping. So I believe that there are people that are doing the walk, and I believe that there are people that tend to look like they're doing the walk, but I believe that if you're in the middle of all this, just do your walk. You know what I mean? Because we're living some times that we need to stay on this path, guys. We're living some interesting times, and you don't want. The Bible says there's a verse where it says that keep your garment spotless and don't let anybody take your crown. You know what I mean? So you do your walk. And sometimes I hear people talking about me. I hear people doing this, doing that. I learned to have thick skin. And what I do is, as a human being, yeah, I get upset, I get offended, but that's like for 10, 15 minutes. Then after that, I'm like, okay, Lord, I give it to you. You know what I mean? You handle that. You do that. That's not as long as I know that I didn't offend anybody or hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that, or anything that had anything to do with me, that I started anything. And if I did, then I'll be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to humble myself. And you know what? I apologize. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's why, yes, you have to be careful. And you just have to focus on the road, focus on the journey and where it's going to take you.
Hey,
But back to
Spring.
the Latin brother, because I just want to clear something up. They weren't tearing down the property because he was his brother. Somebody else bought the property and then they sold it again. So I was trying to go back to what you were saying about the plants and near the tracks and everything, in the ecosystem. They want to bulldozer this whole property and to build apartment buildings. I mean, the place is amazing. Maybe I'll share it in my community tab. You guys want to link on it, go take a look of that video. But there is some beauty of nature there that they're going to destroy. I saw these beautiful trees. I'm like, wow, they're going to kill all these trees and they're going to, and
They could probably make more money if they turn it into some type of museum and nature preserve. And there are probably government programs that would help them do that.
yeah,
versus destroying that habitat, because you think about people haven't been living there, so they probably have all kinds of birds and other animals that have moved into those gardens and areas because
yes.
they're being disturbed.
And it's a huge property. I think it was a couple $1 million they're asking for, and I think it's worth more than that. I mean, the property goes for, I forgot how many acres, but it's huge. I mean, just the driveway from the gate to the house, it's beautiful. It's very long, but there's just trees on the right and trees on the left, all these beautiful trees. And then you got to drive. It's a very long driveway to get to the house. But the house itself being empty, as long as it is right now, because it's still empty. Um, the inside of the house looked like it wasn't empty for decades. You know, it looks beautiful. You know, it doesn't look like it's decaying in any way. The outside could use some work. And then they have a beautiful pool, but the thing is, there's a beautiful lake right on their property. So they're thinking of it. I don't think they made a decision yet, according to this video, but they're thinking of, using the property to build apartments, buildings. And it's sad because he has what they had is this beautiful mansion, and it's a nice big house, but it's a decent house, and it's actually the style of Eastern Mediterranean dot style over there in the east part of the world, the building. And then they had a 3 garage car detached from the building. Then they had another buildings. They had like a few buildings in the property, which you could do so much with. They had their own dock they had a boat. The boat's all yucky, but they had a boat and everything. It's like they packed up and just left the property, and I guess
abandoned everything.
They abandoned it, and I guess from overseas, they kind of sold it or whatever. But I'm pretty sure they didn't want to lose the money on that property. But it's beautiful. But I'm just saying, like, think out of the box. Why do you want to destroy all this? I don't know.
Spring, what's up? What's up?
Elaine, that's wasteful. We are supposed to take care of nature. Yeah, I know. There's a video I was watching, guys. It's all in God's plan. When he created plants, when he created animals, certain animals, certain species has a job for the planet. And it's for our ecosystem, for everything to work. So, for instance, the ocean. If the frogs come in and eat the fish or the geese or whatever, where they're depopulating the ocean a little bit because maybe there's too much fishes in there. There's just a video that explains it better. But it's a beautiful video. I watched it yesterday with my daughter, and it's from a Christian channel here on YouTube, but it talks about God's creation. That's what it is. So it talks about how the sun works, how the solar system works, what everything has a purpose, the stars, the galaxy, Earth, everything in Earth. So when they're like killing all these plants and they're destroying all these animals, then they're destroying the ecosystem that got built for us to control everything in the earth too. Lightning, rain, even the lightning has a purpose. I didn't know that. But it's a beautiful video. It's a beautiful video. It's a teaching. Yeah. And I found it interesting. But I try to do my part with what I can here, like when it comes to recycling and when it comes to food scraps, when it comes to, so we don't put so much out there in the wastelands, there's a lot of stuff you could use for your garden or for your property. It's funny that we're talking about this because today my daughter has a stack of toys that my grandson doesn't want, and they're like those Legos. And one is like a Spider-Man one, and those things are expensive. So
she could probably sell them on eBay.
Exactly. You know what? She doesn't think like me. She says that, oh mom, she has OCD, guys. Really, she does. So she hasn't been medically diagnosed. I medically diagnosed her because she reminds me of my mom. So her thing is getting it out the house. She doesn't want it in the house. She doesn't want it piled up somewhere. She doesn't want clutter and all that. I mean, she has a big apartment here. She has a huge basement. There's no reason for that. She said, oh, I'm just going to throw this out because, Johnny doesn't want to play with it. I'm like, hold up. What? You gonna throw
There
it
there are people who go around looking for those old Lego sets and they resell them for a decent price. Some
Yeah,
of
the
them
thing
are
is, they're
Lego.
not the old ones. They're the really nice ones that
Uh,
he was gifted. He was gifted these, I think,
you
last
could easily resell that. There are kids like my granddaughter Luna. She got a bunch of Legos right here that her and her grandpa play with all the time. So yeah.
year. And I told her, no, we're gonna give this to a kid, or we're gonna donate it to a shelter, or we're gonna donate it
Mhm.
to some center that might need it. You know what I mean? They have probably programs for children, or we're just gonna give it to somebody. You know,
They're
we're not
really
just
good for kids who are on the spectrum. There was a place here called Brickworks that had a bunch of different Lego stations for the autistic kids to play in. It helps them with their memory. It helps them with their tactile, their
yeah,
visual creativity, and for those that don't can't play or don't want to be, how some of them just cannot stand to be close to other children. It
yeah,
was perfect because they could be at their own station playing without having to worry about another child touching things and stuff like that.
yeah. Yeah, so she's the type that no, I gotta get rid of it, and I'm the type like, you know,
Repurpose it.
right. I'll find a corner for it until we get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like I told
You
her, why don't you leave it in your trunk, so that way when we pass a shelter sign, we could
you
bring
can
it.
just drop it off. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she said, Mom, we need to get rid of some of this stuff. I'm like, I'm not a hoarder or anything like that. I just don't like stuff to be thrown in the garbage if it's not broken, if it still works. Somebody else that probably don't have a lot of money, uh it could be a blessing to other people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Mhm.
know. But me and her are definitely not seeing eye to eye on this. But I call her little Irma. My mom's name was Irma. And I
Mhm.
call her little Irma because I told her, I'm going to get you a t-shirt that says little Irma because you're just like your grandmother. Oh my gosh. And yeah, I'm not a hoarder, guys. Trust me, I'm not. I just like to just repurpose, reuse, if I can. I do that with even my garden, like, containers and stuff. I save them. So this is where I'm at with the knitted front of the sweater.
Okay.
I mean, it's not the perfect stitch. I think I'm a tight knitter, but that's where I am now. Yeah, I think it's important. It's important for everybody to do their part. But I don't think that, and I know I'm going to get a lot of probably people screaming at me maybe at the replay of this video or whatever, like, well, what is she talking about? I don't, my own opinion, I think that God is in control of this planet and everything that happens to it. Why? Because he's the creator. And watching this video yesterday makes me even gives me even 100% certainly that whatever is going on in this planet, he's in control of it for a reason. The world sees it as climate control, pollution, whatever it might be. We're driving too many cars, or whatever is what they're trying to do a reset. Did you know that the planet control its own temperature? And I learned that not too long ago. And I think that whatever's going on, like Connecticut, today's the first time, like, it's the coldest winter we had. Uh, other places are getting snow where they never had snow. Um, I think that there's a message there. I think there's a reason why this is going on. I don't think that the planet is going to be destroyed because, for one, God created this planet. He's not going to let that happen. Number two, um, we're going to be living in the new world with Christ. So we're going to go to heaven, but we're coming back to the earth. So what does that tell you? That tells you that this planet is going to be here as long as God wants it to be here. So to me, it's not going to go anywhere. I say this because I hear younger generations, they have been somehow, to them, from what they've been told, is that the past generation, us, the older generation, has destroyed this planet. And then they're angry at us, saying that, oh, now we're supposed to fix y'all mess. And now supposedly this planet's not going to last for too long if we keep going the way we're going. And that's kind of sad because science, they believe more the science than the creator. And I think that if they read their Bible and they know more about God's uh, plan for us and everything, they would know that this planet is not going anywhere. Yes, there are disasters. There are hurricanes. There are, a lot of floods going on and stuff like that. But that also has a reason for that, you know?
7 bags of Christmas decorations. Oh, wow. Wow. That's a lot of Christmas decoration.
She's donating it?
What you get ready to do?
I'm about to get dressed.
Okay. Hey, Luna, just have it.
I want to do it.
Here.
You get ready to work?
I'm playing with
So, I had a 3-day migraine.
Oh.
Here, Luna.
I'm trying to show them.
Guess what we're doing?
Okay. Bad girl. All right, you got your headset? No. Oh. Well, I'm gonna have to go now. I have a little miss, and she has her commercial program planned, so I don't want to get flagged.
Okay.
So
Thank you
I'll
for
take
having
care.
me. Take
Everybody
care.
take care. I'll be on whoever's next live, not live, but I'll go hang out with you while you're at your live. I'll be knitting.
All right. See you in these YouTube streets. Bye.
Okay, bye.